Well, it's tough business.
Wow.
Thus, electoral politics is a tough business.
That's one way to put it. I'm wearing black.
You are wearing black.
I am. I'm gonna just go ahead and wear a little bit of a mourning cloth.
Yeah.
For this mayoral race that was quite a blowout, unfortunately.
Yep. Yeah.
Just a little disappointing. I do have my cross on because, again, got to keep things in balance, right?
Yes.
So a little bit of mourning, but also remembering just to pray the rage out. Really,
Yeah,
that's what I.
That is the best way. Turn to God in moments like this.
That's right.
There is no doubt.
Friend, and that was her words to me tonight. She's like, "It's time for just to pray the rage out." So
That's
we
a
were
good point.
That's what we're gonna do. So
and then I guess if we're gonna just put a sound to the whole thing once we saw the results, here's what we were thinking. Oh, yeah, it's a little brutal. Brutal. Let's go to the numbers here, show you what's going on. We'll hit this pretty quickly. We're not going to spend a tremendous amount of time on it. I know there are a lot of our viewers who have kind of the dart in Albuquerque that became sort of invested in the mayor's race.
Oh, I know.
Like, I don't know why I'm doing this.
We have people that are listening from out of state that are invested in the
they're like,
Albuquerque
what's going on
race?
with the mayor's race? I need some answers.
Like, they've been texting us. So, it's kind of funny.
Yeah, let's go ahead and let's show you. Okay, so I want to show you that this is when the first numbers came in here, and this is when the real trouble. You could tell it was over right when this happened. This is the first tranche of votes that always comes in a situation like this are the early and absentee. And so when you see the early and absentee and you have a gap of 16 points, it's over. Yeah. You just know that election day, no matter what happens, isn't going to make up 16 points. And so then the votes that followed this on election day really didn't change things all that much, as a matter of fact. But it's, not a great situation, right around, say 17, 18 points, somewhere in there, depending on where you are. But it looks like 18 points. Okay. Is how this comes down, or somewhere close to that.
Okay.
A couple of things I think are important to think about here. We've talked to you about this on this podcast all the time. We always want to prepare you for what's going on. And I think what we've tried to do here is tell you how tough the environment is for Republicans. We have talked about it from the very beginning, that it was bad in New Jersey, it was bad in Virginia, it was bad in Tennessee, it was bad down the ballot, it was bad at the top of the ballot. This is a tough spot to be in. When you have a president of your own party who is going into their second term effectively, it's a pretty tough environment. And so it's always going to be an uphill climb. And we said, what was going to happen here? What was going to win out? Were the people of Albuquerque going to look at the mayor's race and say, okay, over the past 8 years, crime's gone up, homelessness has gone up, quality of life has gone down, I'm going to vote for change? Or are they going to do what seems to be happening more and more in this country, and that is results don't matter, party does. I've got my team. I root for my team no matter what happens. I always root for the Cowboys. I don't care what happens. I don't care if the Cowboys are 0-15 or 15-0. I'm rooting for them. And that's kind of what politics is right now.
It's a team sport. So what's your argument, though? I mean, because we have people that are writing in tonight. A lot of messages. I got tons of messages saying maybe he just wasn't the right candidate. And my response to that, my personal responses to that is, obviously we supported Darren.
Right.
But I think regardless of almost who you had as a candidate in there, I still think when Keller, it's that much of a blowout.
Right.
Hard to say that it would have been anybody that could have beat him.
Yeah, let's talk. It's a really good point. And so let's talk about that. So the Democratic advantage in the city of Albuquerque is about 20 points. Okay, so that's effectively what is going on here.
Sorry, I'm stealing one of your mints.
Okay, no, that's good. So first of all, a couple of things. Number one, nobody could have won this race. I will tell you, Jesus himself would have had a tough. Would have been scrapping it out.
Okay, let's not pull Jesus into politics.
It's a good point.
Okay?
It's a good point. But
he stayed out of politics for a reason.
Well, in some ways yes, and in some ways definitely no. But anyway, I think that gap is tough. And then in the environment that you have here right now and how difficult it is, I think it's easy to look at the candidate and be like, oh, a different candidate would have been better. I disagree with that. I think Darren ran a very good race. I think he was swimming upstream. And I think we live now in such polarized times that there is no swing vote. There is no group of people who say, let me evaluate how you've done and I will judge and I will vote based on how you've done. That just doesn't exist. It does not exist right now. And it is absolutely just, I'm voting for my team. And that's the end of it. And now, if you do a really poor job, can Can it really hurt you? Yes. But in this particular case, it did not eat into virtually any of the baked in advantage. Now, I will say this about, some of the spiking the football that tends to happen and things like this. If I'm Keller and I have some sense of decency, I don't spike the football. Okay, it's one of the things that I think happened in the governor's race on her acceptance speech that did not speak well of the governor, right?
It was terrible.
And I think it was like, because she got up there and started, blathering on, and it was ridiculous. Okay,
well, no,
so
she was being insulting to you, which was ridiculous.
Right. But the point being in all this, though, is that I hope that Keller acts like an adult, because there are some people in his administration who already are not. But believe me, here's the thing about this. If you're Keller, by the way, a guy like Keller, people like Michelle, look, you guys start off the game up 28-0. Mm-hmm. And then you end up winning by a touchdown, and you act like you're the best team that ever lived. It drives me crazy. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, you're not. You got a massive voter advantage, and we live in polarized times, and you get every one of those votes. I think it's bad for the country that we live in polarized times like this. I do. And I think that in the age of Trump, people are locked in to where they're locked in. And so it does not matter what your performance is. It's just not going to matter. And so, therefore, we're going to get either more of the same, or maybe Keller learns. Maybe he does. We can all hope. I mean, I'd love to see him turn a corner here and change the approach. I doubt that will happen. But in this day and age, when we tell you about the environment, it matters. And I want to make one clear point here. If you have the choice between the greatest candidate ever and the best environment ever, take the environment. It matters more than the candidate.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I want to go back like 2014 or even 2010 when Susanna won. Mm-hmm. Susanna was the right candidate at the right time. Mm-hmm. And she won. And she won again in 2014 because she did a good job. Okay. So those things matter. Susanna would not have won in this environment. She could not win in this environment. I'm sorry. I'm sure she knows that. I could not win in this environment. We got to 5 or 6. We couldn't get all the way there. Mm-hmm. You just couldn't do it. And so, yeah, you can get some people over, some not. So when we talk about environment, it means everything. Mm-hmm. And so get ready. I don't care where you guys live. It doesn't matter. Get ready for 26. It's going to be rough unless something changes, unless you see things move. And we'll see what happens. We're going to talk about that. The administration now is moving. They are moving in the way they're addressing issues. And we'll talk about that.
Right.
But this is really tough for Darren.
It is tough. And obviously I feel bad for him. It's always hard to put your hat in there, and whether people like you or they don't like you, he gave it his all. He went back out there. It's not an easy thing to try to go do and knock on doors and raise money and all the things that go with it. And, it's like, but answer really quickly, because it's another question people always ask me is they're going to say, well, Darren, obviously he came out and conceded so fast. He conceded so quickly. He conceded when only early votes were counted. Yep. Why does somebody do that? Because you got accused of the same thing during the governor's race.
Right.
And people were like, I was disappointed that Ronchetti conceded so soon and before all the votes were in. And, that was the wrong move. That was the wrong approach. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, the early vote was roughly 3/4 of the vote total. Mm-hmm. Okay. So when you're down 16 points and 3/4 of the vote total is in, you have no chance to make up the difference.
And you knew something similar when you went out there.
Yeah. When we saw the early vote come in, we saw some of those numbers. We also saw numbers from places, even like Santa Fe, where you can't lose Santa Fe, 80-20. You got to lose Santa Fe 60-40, mm-hmm. right? And if you lose Santa Fe 60-40, you're still getting your clock cleaned, right? You're losing by 20, but you're not losing by 60, right? And so you see some certain numbers along the way. We have all these metrics that tell us we need to do this here, we need to do this here, we need to do this here. And if you don't see it, the math doesn't add up. It's very simple. This is simple math.
Yeah.
And by the way, one thing I would never do, and this reminds me of this tonight. I never wanted to leave people in a room hoping that we were going to win when I knew we were not. Mm-hmm. I was never going to do that. Too many people gave too much to be not leveled with. The second you know what's going on, Darren did the same exact thing, and he came out. And let's just dip into a little bit of what.
Let's show a little bit of clip of him in his words tonight. So let's play this for you guys.
And I just want to say this to you. There never seemed a better opportunity than right now, right? But we can't give up. Don't any of you give up, because this is a fantastic city. If you look at the election results in the early vote, it's the disparity. It was like 16, 17%, and that's where it is right now. So Democrats are voting for Democrats, and Republicans are voting for Republicans. But don't you think for a minute that your voice can't be heard. And don't think for a minute that you should give up and say, the hell with this. Because this is our city, and we love it, and that's what we're fighting for. And maybe, just maybe, what we went through in those debates and all those forums, maybe, just maybe, the mayor will understand that we want him to fight for our families, and we want him to fight for our businesses. Because yes.
Yeah, so...
It was good. It was solid.
Said.
Yeah, well said. And very respectable, very mature statement. Just the right thing to say. Exactly. Very reminded me very much of you when you came out and you were very disappointed, gravely disappointed.
Yeah.
Very grateful for people that had helped you. And in the same respect saying, listen, take off your jerseys, because if we don't take off our jerseys and all we do is sit in the corners and fight our fights, we're all going to keep losing. So again, I think it's about, coming together, obviously. We hope that things get better. I'm not putting any money on that. If I'm going to be honest right now, I don't see that happening yet. Yeah. I do see hope. I do see hope.
Oh, no doubt.
And I have had a lot of conversations. People ask me all the time. I've had a lot of conversations with people that know a lot more about this than I do,
right.
and study this and know just know all the inner workings of everything and how things usually play out. And they've told me, they said this was going to be a rough chapter. This is a rough time right now, but it is going to get better, because it's going to, in some ways, it's going to get a little rougher at times, and then it's going to come back. So
I think what you're getting at is that 2026 is going to be a very rough go. Just be prepared for that. Now, unless things turn with the economy and things of that nature, you got to watch the national picture. If you watch the national picture and you see Trump starting to make a bit of a comeback, then you're going to know things will tighten. Things will tighten locally. That's just where we are. We aren't now. The New Mexico governor's race is still going to be a proxy for what's going on in Washington. I mean, there's going to be a lot of that, right? I think there is some difference. There's some give here and there. The governor's race is a much bigger race than the Albuquerque mayor's race, so there's more give in it. There's more to it, but still, I think it's a bit of a concern. But I think there's a few things that you can feel good about. Number one, by the way, if you're a conservative in the state of New Mexico, the way the Republican Party handled themselves with Darren, led by Amy Barella, they deserve a lot of credit. They stepped in and helped every way that they could, and that is a huge deal. It's a huge deal to have a party that does that, because the Democratic Party is very effective at operating the way they operate within the state. They mobilize people. They do what they need to do to get their people elected. And I think what you saw in this election, and I could tell by the number of calls that were being made and talking to Darren and talking to people in Darren's campaign, they were thrilled with the support from the Republican Party. And I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, that has not always been the case.
No.
It has not always been the case, but it is the case now, and that's a very good thing. So in 2026, I think what we're looking at here is a very uphill climb for anybody running as a Republican in the state of New Mexico. Doesn't mean it can't be done, but there are things right now that are just tough. It's really, really hard. And so we'll see what ends up happening here. Be optimistic, though, because I think by 28, I think things flip. I think it's going to be a very, very good year in 2028. And I think 2030, we're going to elect a Republican governor in the state of New Mexico.
Yeah, that's
I will tell you, I think that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. Now, just one other thing, we talk about having some class and having some dignity. I think this is the sort of thing that is frustrating to watch, because I think in some cases we have people in leadership, especially in the city of Albuquerque or in the state, who don't deserve to be there. And the APD chief of police, Harold Medina, just acting like a child. Okay. Anytime you're in a political fight, you have someone challenging the mayor saying, I'm going to get a new chief of police. All right. Well, Harold Medina comes out and says, well, guess I get to retire on my own terms. Have a good life. Grow up, brother. Just grow up. I mean, honestly, you've been given a great position of authority in the city of Albuquerque, one that you have handled with complete and utter incompetence. And yet the only thing you think to do, instead of just keeping your mouth shut, nose to the grindstone, trying to do your best, is you come out with some clownery like this. Whatever. Grow up. Just grow up. Yeah. We don't have time for it. I mean, so, stuff like this, it bums you out, because people that are given this kind of responsibility by the voters should appreciate it and put them first. And I hope the mayor will do that going forward.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll keep reporting on what we see and how things go. And,
yeah. One other thing.
Yeah.
We are we're going to have some polling data. We're going to do some polling, and we're going to find out exactly what happened in this race and how things look going forward. So that is happening over the next 3 or 4 days.
Okay.
We will have that for you Monday of next week. We will not have a Sunday show. We will have a Monday show.
Tell everybody why we won't have a Sunday show.
Because it's possible we're going to Dallas to see the Cowboys take on Minnesota. Okay, and smoke the Vikings. And unfortunately, I can't record a Sunday show when I'm busy helping Dak Prescott win a game. Okay, I can't do both.
Are you going to be coaching as well?
Well, Brian Schottenheimer asked that I put on the headset and we see what happens here.
Okay, well.
So I don't know, but
and we are going with our friends from Minnesota who are diehard Viking fans.
Well, they're going to take a beating of a lifetime.
And so let's just see how this all shakes out. But that's why we won't be here on Sunday's show, but we will record on Monday and we'll have those polling results. So that's a little tease for you guys on that. But let's talk about some other things. Obviously, let's move on. We've got other things we're going to be focusing on now.
Yes.
So for those of you that are tired of the Albuquerque Mayor's race, well, guess what? Darren probably is too right now. He is probably like, let me take a nap. Okay, so let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about so oil and gas prices starting to see a dip, but what does that mean for the state?
Well, so it means good and bad things, right? When you go to the pump, it means you're paying a lot less. However, this state, obviously, the biggest chunk of revenue that we get from one source is from oil and gas, and state revenue growth cools as oil and gas prices fall. Now, this is kind of an interesting deal, so I'll have you just read one little quote in this. We're going to be down $200 million in revenue. Okay, we have a $3 billion surplus. So yearly, by the way. So we may be down closer to $2.5 billion versus $3. So let's not go crazy here, but just you can kind of, Dan Boyd wrote the article, so you can just read a little bit of where this is going, and I'll comment on it after.
That's $212.6 million less than was collected in the just finished budget year and roughly $322 million less than had been previously projected in August. The revenue dip caused largely by falling oil prices and lower than expected corporate income tax collections connected to a federal budget bill could prompt legislators to take a more tight-fisted approach to budget requests during the 30-day session that starts next month. And it says here, this is a quote from Rep. Nathan Small from Las Cruces, says, "This is not a doom forecast, but it is a very sobering forecast."
Right, it's very sobering. Whenever the government loses money,
it's very sobering.
Very sobering.
Sobering.
That's the thing that always cracks me up. These guys are like, this is very sobering, that we're not going to be able to increase the budget 10% a year like we like to,
right?
Which we've done over the past 7 or 8 years. So we'll see what happens. But the reason we mention that is because it's connected to a larger theme here. And this is a critical theme if things are going to continue in a direction where the economy is going to improve, and that is the energy prices going down. So Trump sat down with Politico, and they went in Dasha Burns and went through a bunch of different stuff, a 45-minute interview. There was some really good stuff there, but he talked about what's going on with energy prices.
I inherited a mess. I inherited a total mess. Prices were at an all-time high when I came in. Prices are coming down substantially. Look at energy. You and I discussed before the interview, energy. Energy has come down incredibly. When energy comes down, everything, because it's so much bigger than any other subject, but energy has come down incredibly. Prices are all coming down. It's been 10 months. It's amazing what we've done. If you think of gasoline a gallon, they had it at $4.50, almost $5. You go to some of the states, you had it at $6. We hit 3 states 2 days ago, $1.99 a gallon. When that happens, everything comes down. Now, everything is coming down. With beef, I've just opened that up where beef is going to start coming down pretty substantially.
Okay, so he does a couple things there, and we'll get to more of this in a second. But part number one, he remembers and turns people back to Biden. It's a time-honored tradition. A president who takes over for another president always turns back to the negative of the old president. Mm-hmm. Barack Obama did it for like 8 years to George W. Bush. I mean, he savaged George W. Bush day in and day out. Everything would be, well, Bush screwed it up, and then Obama would do his thing. So that they're tight on that messaging. And then the energy portion is not just something that he's saying, it's something that's starting to get some traction.
Right. So even some like local news stations, this reminds me of my day as a reporter. I was always covering the gas prices. That was a pretty popular story back in the day when I was doing it. But so here's a little story coming out of Denver. Take a look at some of these gas prices. I'm sure people in Colorado are thrilled.
The Fox 31 video haul today to find that story. This was June of 2001. Drivers complaining about gas prices at the time hovering around $1.70 or 80 a gallon. Tonight, we're finding that again. Our crew spotted one gas station, this one near Evans in Quebec, advertising $1.69 a gallon. And this time, drivers are not complaining at all. Fox 31's Anna Kuhn with what's behind it.
Gas is $1.69 a gallon right now at the Quick Trip on the corner of East Evans and South Monaco Street. That's the cheapest price you'll find across the state, according to Gas Buddy, and also one of the cheapest in the entire country. There was a long wait line at a Denver Shell station this afternoon on the corner of East Evans and South Quebec Street.
It's surprising to see the lines. I've never seen this line before.
All those drivers looking to fill up the tank at just $1.69 a gallon.
Since I've learned to drive, I don't know if I've ever seen prices that low.
Yeah, me either, actually. Well, so you look at how cheap that is, and then you go to CNN, and they're also referencing some of the differences in how much gas has come down over the past few years.
Of gasoline. Look at this, a fresh 4.5-year low, 3.5-year low of $2.95 a gallon as of today. That is miles away from the all-time high set back in 2022 under former President Biden, above $5 a gallon.
Okay. All right, so you see that.
Yeah, he mentions it.
No, he actually said it. Who knew?
It's shocking.
Right? Okay, so that is important. It's going to be critical because as Trump mentions in his soundbite, everything with energy goes downstream. Because once it's cheaper to transport goods, once it's cheaper to do anything like that, get to work, anything you do, provide that energy, it's absolutely critical. Now, a couple things that are important here. Number one, we don't have rates, and our gas isn't quite that low. Okay, one thing that's important, gas prices are extremely state specific because each state taxes gas differently, puts different regulations on gasoline. New Mexico has shown a history of trying to make gasoline more and more expensive. Okay, and the real king of the hill when it comes to making gasoline incredibly expensive is California. Mm-hmm. So, by the way, if you're just curious, hey, what are the rates? You know, what are the prices in California doing right now? Well, these are the latest numbers. Okay, they're way high.
Yeah, $4.89, $4.99.
Yep.
You can see 501 on Santa Monica Boulevard.
Santa Monica Boulevard.
Not shocking, as I used to live there. So yes, not shocking.
Yes, not shocking at all. But this is because of all the taxes that get tacked on and all the regulations tacked on. So that matters because the state of New Mexico is heading in that direction. So when you hear about things in the legislative session where they say, hey, we want to add this, and they'll always put a euphemistic name on it, right? Mm-hmm. Let's make it the Clear Skies tax bill or whatever it is. And you're like, oh, there's Clear Skies gasoline improvement bill.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, right? And then it turns out, oh, that's going to add 30 cents a gallon. Like, this is what California's already done. So your legislators matter in how they deal with things and how affordable life is for you. But I think that coming down and talking about it a lot is important. And then, you know, it's not just that issue. Obviously, we've got healthcare, which is an issue, and we've got the economy as a whole. And Trump has done something very interesting on healthcare.
Yeah, he's talking a little bit. He's just kind of changing his messaging a little bit. So here is a little bit. He's going to take the attack pretty directly towards the insurance companies themselves.
Give the money to the people to buy their own health care. That's a good thing, not a bad thing. The Democrats don't want to do that. They want the insurance companies to continue to make a fortune. The Democrats are owned by the insurance companies. They want the insurance companies to get this trillions of dollars. We spent trillions of dollars goes to the insurance companies. I want that money to go to the people and let the people go out and buy their own health care. It works like magic. But you know who doesn't want it? The Democrats, because they're corrupt people, because they're totally owned and bought by the insurance.
Okay, this is smart because going after the insurance companies is fertile ground. This is a populist move. It's a sharp move. We had a Democratic strategist on here a few weeks ago talking about this is a move that the Democrats would be stupid to oppose because you don't throw in with the insurance companies. But of course, they probably will because Trump said it. They're going to be like, no, we love the insurance companies.
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
We're good friends with them. Well, I'll tell you what, we're not fans of the insurance company right now because our premiums are going to go. It's a second mortgage for us starting in January.
There's no question it is. It absolutely is.
It's pretty steep. It's as much as our mortgage to insure the 4 of us.
Yeah.
And we're trying to figure it all out right now, but there's no magic solution right this second because you can't go without insurance, right? You have to have medical care.
Yep.
And
and I think that's what's so important is that when you go after the insurance companies and then you say to the other side, come to the table. Let's do this. This will help if they stay on message and drill it home. Now, the question is, what is the solution going to be? Is it going to be just taking money and giving it directly to healthcare providers? Maybe, maybe not. There may be other ways to do this. Part of the problem for us is that we have a small company and we don't have enough buying power to buy down that number, and that could possibly change.
Right. So Rand Paul was on and talking a little bit about how it might be a good idea for small business owners to kind of pool together and see if we can start lowering some of these rates. Now, how fast this happens, I don't know, but just listen to his idea.
Your proposal will improve health care and lower costs. Walk us through it.
This is an idea I've been talking about for several years, and President Trump has engaged on this idea. In his first term, he actually tried to put it in place through an executive order, but the Democrats sued in court and stopped us. Basically, it allows people to buy insurance as a group. So if you're an individual accountant and you have 3 employees, or you're a landscaper and have 4 employees, you're a small group and you don't have any leverage to get a better price from big insurance companies. But what if you could join Costco? Costco has 44 million members, and if one person negotiated for all 44 and they bought a group plan like Toyota or General Motors does, they would be the largest corporate or largest collective entity in the country. They would drive prices down by sheer might and leverage. In all likelihood, whoever was in charge of the buying group would sit down with the CEO of United Healthcare and Blue Cross, and they would have to negotiate, and they would get things that nobody's been able to get in the past. So this is an idea of letting people join a group like a co-op or a collective to bargain together, and they're called association health plans.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to sit at that table.
Yeah,
I want a seat at that table for real.
Yeah.
Because you call me a bit of a ball buster because I do tend to like when there's something that shows up on a bill that I'm like, yeah, this is not really something that we should be paying for. Like it doesn't make sense. I didn't agree to this or whatever.
I will say, I think that when I see this sort of thing happen, and I see you say, I'm going to give them a call.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I feel so badly for whoever's going to pick up the phone on the other end.
I'm very
because
respectful.
They have no idea.
I'm very respectful.
You are respectful. You're also relentless.
I am relentless.
And you start the conversation. You're just like, yeah, but here's the thing. And then you just keep laying it on him. And by the end of the conversation, you've not only got us the money back, but at a certain point, they're just like, what else can I possibly give you to get off the phone?
Yes.
And one of the best examples we ever had of this was we had a hot water heater,
yes,
which was not functioning properly.
Correct.
And so you got on the phone with the hot water heater company, and they're like, at first they're like, well, we'll send someone out to fix it. And you're like, yeah,
we tried that already.
We tried that. We're not doing that.
Like,
we're not doing that.
That's not a solution.
And like halfway through this 3-hour conversation.
No, it was 5 hours. I was on the phone with the guy for 5 hours.
And just going back and forth,
that seems like a long time.
Eventually, the guy just no-mosses this thing and gives up and then says, I'm sending you a new water heater.
He did. He sent us a brand new water heater.
Now, never mind that it wasn't the water heater that was the problem. We had a leaky line in our house.
We did not know that at the time.
We did not. I agree.
Said everybody that we had a million plumbers out here, they all said it's your water heater.
Yeah.
So that is why I went on that path, and it was a fairly new water heater that we had just paid for. So I just said, hey, warranty the thing I just bought a year ago.
Yeah, no, it was unbelievable to watch you in action.
Calm. The guy said we should be friends. He was up in Michigan. I was on the phone with the guy half the day.
No. I don't think you're rude at all. I just think that if you sat down with the United CEO or you sat down with the Presbyterian CEO, by the time that was done, they would be paying us to insure us.
I would love that. That would be
fantastic.
What I mean?
They'd be like,
hey,
Christy, can we give you $1,000 a month and then you just utilize our services?
Yes, that'd be fantastic.
I know.
That'd be great.
It's just the way it is.
Listen, I just have a lot of patience when it comes to negotiations.
Oh, you're willing to wait it out?
Yes, because I think that there's something called common sense when it comes to negotiations.
No, you're
and
solid.
And if you don't meet a solution that is actually a real solution, you stay until you find that.
No, there's no doubt.
You don't lose your cool.
No, you don't.
You don't cuss.
You may lose your cool occasionally, but then you bring it back.
Oh, no. You can't drop any names. You can't say any bad language.
I don't think you use bad language.
They'll hang up on you. And it's like, no, you don't play that game.
No, I know you don't. Believe me.
Maybe I'll give a lesson someday.
Oh, it's unreal. I should record you in action, and we should bring it to the show.
I hate doing it though, just so you know.
I know, but
and
you're
the
so
worst
good
is
at it.
when I'm like, what is this on the credit card? Like, we don't even have that service anymore or whatever. We shouldn't be charged this. And I'm like, Mark, give these guys a call. And Mark's like, yeah, you should probably call them.
No, you're the best at it. I know.
And you have tried to call, and then you come back with no results. And I'm like, how did that go?
Yeah, I'm like, well, they told me that, to stick it. And you're like, I'll be right back. And then, so, all right.
Listen,
so
okay, let's
anyway,
move on.
we'll see what happens with the healthcare stuff. It's interesting, but a couple other political things. One.
No, this is my story.
No. Just, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I keep trying to talk, sir. And you just, let me have a second here, okay?
Oh, you get more than enough time to talk, believe me.
Do I, though?
We've heard quite a bit of your thoughts
really?
today.
Have you?
I don't know, really.
No, not really. Okay, it doesn't matter. What's interesting, though, is, U.S. House Rep Jasmine Crockett, right? Mm-hmm. She's decided from Texas, she's decided now that she is not going to run for House again. She is going to throw her hat in the ring for U.S. Senate.
Right.
And so I wanted to play you her launching announcement today. Okay. And for those of you that are just listening, okay, I want you to, I'll paint this picture for you really fast because you're going to hear voiceover. All the voiceovers are Trump, and you're going to see Jasmine is just staring off into the distance.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, I like this.
That is what this is. This is her formal launch. So take a look at this.
How about this new one they have, their new star, Crockett. How about her? She's the new star of the Democrat Party, Jasmine Crockett. They're in big trouble.
But you have this woman, Crockett. She's a very low IQ person.
I watched her speak the other day. She's definitely a low IQ person. Crockett. Oh, man. She's a very low IQ person.
She's now facing the camera.
Somebody said the other day she's one of the leaders of the party. I said, you got to be kidding.
Now they're going to rely on Crockett. Crockett's going to bring her back.
She's crossing her arms. She's getting serious.
Okay.
And then it says Crockett for U.S. Senate.
Actually, if I think that's pretty effective. If you're her, that's what you're trying to do. Like you're running.
Yeah, you definitely don't show clips of what you've done.
Oh no! Trust me,
she's crazy.
Yeah. So a couple things. I don't think she's going to win. I think even in a good environment for Democrats, she's going to get Jazzy is going to have a problem. Jazzy C. I don't see her doing it. But I will say, just give you an idea though.
You're calling her Jazzy C?
Yeah, Jazzy Crockett.
Is that what we're gonna start calling her?
Yeah. Oh. I don't know. Call her whatever you want.
Okay.
I have an opinion.
Yes, go ahead.
I thought her announcement was actually really effective because it was very youthful. I think it's a lot better than a normal adult would do. I have no idea who this chick is or what she's done.
Right.
But I actually liked it. I don't know anything about her, so I'm not encouraging her. I'm just saying.
No.
Okay.
I
liked her announcement.
She's far left wing. She said some very offensive things. There's no question.
Oh, she's a loose cannon.
Okay, but to the point of actual politics on this whole thing, Colin Allred ran for United States Senate against Ted Cruz. Okay.
He had a lot of money, right? If I remember right, I feel like he was a big fundraiser guy.
Yeah, well, you're running for Senate in Texas. You have to have a lot of money. You've raised a ton of.
But he set some sort of record. I remember his name. Anyway, keep going.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So, but he was going to get it. He was in again. He's going to run again. This time against John Cornyn or whoever comes out of the Republican primary, and he backed out because of her. So she's formidable on the Democratic side, and I'll tell you, it goes back to what's going on here in New Mexico. You can think you've got someone who's way out there on the fringe of the party, right? You could say Jasmine Crockett's not this or not that. I don't think, she has said some offensive things, and you can insult her any way you want. But she's where the Democratic Party is in her state. And this whole thought process that you're going to get some moderate who's going to run in a Republican state, a moderate Democrat to run in a Republican state, and they're going to win, it's not how it works. That's not where the party is. And that's where the party in the state of New Mexico, we saw it in the mayor's race on Tuesday night. Democratic Party is in line with their people. And the further left you are, the better. So that's why Deb Haaland is in a much better position to be the next nominee for the Democratic Party than Sam Bregman. Because if you're trying to position yourself for both parties, you lose.
Well, and wait,
it's not how it goes.
Okay, so this is maybe, I can't remember this guy's name. You'll know. He was a NFL player, and he was going to run for U.S. Senate potentially on the Democratic side.
Colin Allred. That's what
the
I'm
guy.
talking about.
Okay, so that is the guy.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And he, look. But
so that's what I remembered about him.
Absolutely.
But they said he's too mainstream, he's too mainstream Democratic to actually win the vote. That's what they thought.
Well, I mean, yeah, she scared him out of the race.
Yeah.
He left the race when she got in. So that tells you where they are.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of interesting, and we'll see what ends up happening with her. Now, do I think she's going to win? I don't. Even in a big year, she is like running. I'll tell you what I think the equivalent is. The equivalent is, in a big Republican year, Lauren Boebert running to be governor or senator in Colorado. That's who she is. She's the Lauren Boebert of the Democratic Party.
Got it.
And Lauren Boebert, while she's okay in her own little district, which is full of Republicans, the minute you get her out into a broader electorate, I think she's going to have problems.
Interesting.
Okay, right? And so she's in a red state and far to the left. But I also think, blowing her off and saying she's got no shot is a mistake. I think that it's going to be a tough thing. I think she's going to lose, but we'll see what ends up happening with her.
Okay, so and then Mark Halpern talked a little bit about this whole thing today.
Yeah.
So let's take a little listen to what he has to say, because he usually tries to come in pretty balanced when he gives his coverage. So let's take a listen to what he had to say.
A Democrat has not won a statewide office in Texas for over a quarter century. And if you're asking me if Jasmine Crockett will be the Democrat who breaks that streak, the answer is no. Maybe she'll be the nominee. And if she is, the Republicans will rejoice, because any of the three Republicans in the Republican primary can beat her, almost certainly. Because, again, there's a profile that's been bandied about for years of the kind of Democrat who could break this 35 or whatever it is, 31-year losing streak to win a statewide office in Texas. And that profile matches not at all with that of Jasmine Crockett.
So I don't think Crockett has a shot, and I don't think she does either. But again, it just shows you where the party is. It shows you where it's at.
I will say that you're seeing a lot of celebrating on the Republican side on the national front, because they're saying, hey, she's going to give up her House seat, and she will not win the U.S. Senate seat. So
right, but her House seat will be filled by a Democrat.
Another Democrat?
Yes.
Okay. So, all right. So,
that's just how that's going to go.
Maybe it's a more quiet Democrat. Maybe that's it, because she's so loud.
She's loud. So, you know what, though? Welcome to the performative politics now of Washington, D.C. versus getting stuff done. A lot of times you've got people, and we see it on both sides, that do these ridiculous performative, garbage patrols, which is just makes no sense.
Videos, let's say something crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about some insurance problems. People have been writing us about property taxes increasing, okay,
right,
and at an astronomical amount in a lot of areas, right? Like really steep increases all of a sudden. Okay, so you pulled this one.
Well, yeah, property tax, but your insurance rates too.
Yeah, I mean, insurance rates and property taxes skyrocketing kind of out of nowhere.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about
this is what caught my eye, and it's a Substack article called "Hold My Beer." And what the point is they're making here is misdefining insurance problems as climate change is a narrative that is basically turned into a little party trick here that has worked for the insurance companies. So if you look what is going on with the revenues that have gone into insurance companies that insure your property now, not car insurance, but property insurance, you can see what's happened to their revenue. It's nearly doubled in the last year. Okay, so there's a bunch of things that are happening right now, and a lot of people that are going out and talking. They talk about climate change, and they say, "Well, with everything that's happening with climate change, you're just losing so many more houses." And people are so now, of course, insurance companies have to raise their rates. And so what they're basically trying to tell you in coded language is get ready for paying astronomical rates because we're burning up the planet. Well, it's garbage. It's not true. And so this article did a really interesting job at diving into some of those reasons. So I'd love for you to read example one here, and we'll kind of talk a little bit about how this works and how, we're going to have to head this sort of thing off to make sure people don't end up paying ridiculously high rates. Why? Because they'd like to make things up. And that's exactly what starts to happen here.
Even more striking is the rise from 2017 alone, which accounted for a 66% increase in insurance costs relative to mortgage payments and marked 2017 as the costliest billion-dollar disaster year in the U.S. on record. Thus, this sharp escalation reflects both the growing frequency and severity of extreme weather events, as well as insurers involving assessment of long-term climate risks in their pricing.
Okay, so what this is the writing that basically they use to explain why, and some of these groups do it, and they team up with the insurance companies to do it, to be able to say, here's why rates are going up so much. 2017, worst of the worst, right? I mean, my gosh, look at $1 billion lost and everything else. Well, then you realize what happened in 2017, and then we take a look back. So here's now more, this is basically breaks down what you just read and why it was deceptive, and why if you read that and you start thinking, oh my gosh, climate change, oh my gosh, look what climate change is doing, until you look back at some of the facts. So now read this.
It is important to know about trends in U.S. hurricane landfalls and the large role they have in global loss experience to understand why this statement is misleading. In between Hurricane Wilma in 2005 and Hurricane Harvey in 2017, the U.S. experienced no major category landfalls.
Okay, hold on. That's critical. Let's go back to that. That from 2005 to 2017, we went 12 years
without a hurricane.
Without a hurricane. So this whole, oh my gosh, we're getting more hurricanes. Oh my God, I can't believe this. How could this possibly? It's not true. Okay, so we literally go 12 years with nothing. And then in 2017, what happened?
This is, however, in 2017, the U.S. experienced Hurricane Harvey, Hurricane Irma, and Hurricane Maria landfall in Puerto Rico. It is also a big deal because hurricane landfall, specifically U.S. hurricane landfalls, account for a substantial portion of the insured losses from storms. The image below from Swiss Re shows the significance of hurricane landfalls for loss experience.
Okay, we don't have that, but the point shows you this, that all of a sudden we had nothing for 12 years. We had 1 year with 3 hurricanes, completely randomized. Some years are worse for hurricane formation in the Atlantic Basin, and some are not as bad. Okay, but if you took the whole period of time, we've had far fewer hurricanes that came through during that time, right? But it boosted up and it boosted up the losses, okay? But it has nothing to do with climate change. But if you wrap it around climate change, then it allows them to take your rates and jack them up, right? And they use this as basically an example to push things up. And there's another example here. So again, what you're about to hear Christy read is some of the deceptive words that are used and explanations that are used and why they don't work.
Since 2019, homeowners insurance premiums have risen 31%, with average yearly increases of 6.1%. This increase reflects both rising rebuild costs as insurers respond to higher construction material and labor expenses, as well as insurers' growing operational costs, leading them to adjust coverage limits accordingly. While inflation has contributed to these cost pressures, insurance premiums have grown faster than general inflation, which rose 22% from 2019 to 2024, averaging 4.4% yearly. These differences point to additional cost drivers beyond inflation, primarily the surge in climate-related damage claims from increasing extreme weather events nationwide.
Okay, garbage. It's just if you look at the actual numbers and what they're saying that your yearly increases are 6.1%, okay? Inflation, okay? But, as a matter of fact, it's not all inflation, but 6.1% they go up, right? 4.4% of that is inflation. So you got 1.7%. And some of that is supply chain. Some of that's all, it's nothing to do with climate, but yet they stick it in there as well. So just be aware that a lot of this is going on. And the more they can wrap it in climate change, the more they can say, which is just garbage in this particular case, that it's an explanation and an ability to be able to continue to jack rates. So just be aware that stuff is happening, and we're not necessarily seeing increases in a lot of these areas. And again, there's a million things that are factors for this. And climate, just putting it into a climate basket is completely and totally deceptive. So when that happens, I always point it out.
Okay, so I am a designer. That's what I do. That's my other job, right? Is to do interior design work.
Indeed.
And so I'm interested. I don't like move mountains or anything for it, but I'm always interested in the color of the year, right? The paint colors of the year.
Okay.
So Pantone comes out every year. So does like a lot of painting brands based on.
And Pantone's a painting brand?
No. Pantone is they're like a universal, like they're a company that provides kind of universal color language. So printers and designers and graphic designers, a lot of people use Pantone colors to do color matching.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And so basically they come up with like a universal color language. So when people are trying to match paint colors and graphic design, things like that. Anyway, so that's kind of the thing. But every year they announce their color of the year, kind of like an inspirational color. Okay. So this year's color is it is called Cloud Dancer, okay?
Okay.
And Cloud Dancer is like this. It's basically white.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like it.
Okay. So, and by the way, I believe it's the first time that white has been chosen as a color of the year. Okay. But it's supposed to be like airy, kind of neutral. It's this like calming color is the way that Pantone kind of announced it.
Okay.
Well, what was interesting to me about this, because I was like, okay, that seems kind of boring, but whatever. that was it for me. That was as much thought as I gave it. Well, no. A lot of designers, especially ones that feel like they might not agree with me necessarily in politics, I would just put it that way. They see things on the other side.
Okay.
Have now come out and said that this is a terrible color choice because it leads to racism. Oh. And so they have turned the color of the year into like a political racism conversation. So I'm just going to play you a little tiny clip of this. We're not going to go into the whole thing, but this is just one snippet of one of the designers. And I was like, holy cow, like we need to find people something else to do or talk about. But just take a little sip. This is I pulled this from the New York Post. This is their review of it.
White or cloudy days as color of the year is a political statement. Call me too woke, I don't care. I don't think I'm wrong. It is a political statement. It's giving Sydney Sweeney has good genes.
Sydney Sweeney is catching strays once again. Woke white women on TikTok have a surprising new target, the color white. Specifically, Pantone's 2026 Color of the Year, which is a bland off-white shade dubbed Cloud Dancer. The post called it the most boring choice of all, but is it racist? That's what some far-left influencers are claiming.
It's a political statement. You're gonna choose white and market it as a soothing reset? For who, babe? Who is that soothing?
This TikToker named Riley, who boasts 44.6 thousand followers, called Pantone's pick a shady political statement and compared it to this year's controversy over American Eagle's jeans ad, starring blonde-haired, blue-eyed actress Sydney Sweeney.
So anyway, you kind of get the gist. Now it goes on and on. There's lots of designers that are on there and I kind of looked it up to see like how much is this really blowing up. Oh, it's all over TikTok. There's a lot of angry designers over this color. Okay. But then I just went to see, what did Pantone say? You know, like what's their response on this? And they basically just said like, hey, we were just trying to find a calming color to like lower the chaos a little bit and like calm down the current environment of all it's just kind of a chaotic, environment right now. Mm-hmm. So they decided to be relaxing and calming. And anyway, that was kind of what they talked a little bit about. I just thought, as a designer, I cannot believe that now the color of the year has gone political. I just think, give it a rest. Yeah. Like, honestly, give it a rest. It's white. The color's white. It is kind of a boring choice. Yeah. I probably won't be using it. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I will. Maybe there's some cabinets I need to paint. But anyway, it was just a little story for you. Kind of in my world, more in my world, but still it turned political.
Of course. Doesn't everything have to? Everything's a statement.
It really shouldn't be, though. So we're going to try to bring you some happier, lighter news as we keep moving forward, especially with the Christmas season coming up.
Right.
So we'll be finding I promise, some more hopeful, happier stories as well. But of course, we'll try to continue to keep you posted on the news of the day and what's happening. Again, we're having some poll results that we will be putting together, and we will be putting that out on our Monday show. We will not be here Sunday because we are going to the Cowboys game. So, if you're fans of us, you better be voting for the Cowboys to win. That's just the way.
Yes, vote for the Cowboys to win.
Vote for them. Can you tell this is how I talk?
Yeah.
Just hope that the Cowboys win for my sake. Okay, people, just trust me when I say that. Just even if you're like an Eagles fan, give us this win on Sunday, okay? Anyway, thank you guys for spending some time with us. Thank you for those of you that supported Darren and wrote in and talked about that. Thank you so much. Again, we'll get to some of your comments when we come back on Monday. If you want to continue to follow our news, go to our No Doubt About It podcast.com, sign up for our emails. If you want to donate to our cause here to keep the show going, please feel free and do so. Thanks so much for joining us, and we will see you back here on Monday. God bless, and have a great rest of your week.
You've been listening to the No Doubt About It podcast. We hope you've enjoyed the show. We know we had a blast. Make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at No Doubt About It Podcast.
No doubt about it.
The No Doubt About It Podcast is a Choose Adventure Media production. See you next time on No Doubt About It.
There is no doubt about it.